The Monday morning assembly at Crestwood High School in Ohio buzzed with the restless chatter of hundreds of students enduring a dull speech. Principal Hawthorne, her auburn hair tightly pinned, stood at the podium, her piercing gaze sweeping the crowd. Her tailored suit and confident demeanor radiated authority, but beneath it lay a near-ruthless control. Adjusting her glasses, her eyes locked onto a figure at the back of the auditorium. Malik Thompson, a 16-year-old junior, leaned against the wall, his tall frame slightly hunched to ease the nagging pain in his lower back. His deep brown eyes, usually lit with quiet confidence, were clouded with discomfort. Malik wasn't one to draw attention, but today, his refusal to sit made him a target. "Mr. Thompson," Ms. Hawthorne's voice sliced through the air like a blade. The auditorium turned to stare. "Why aren't you seated with your peers?" Malik shifted, his body tensing. "Ma'am, I can't sit right now," he said, his voice low but clear. Ms. Hawthorne's lips curled into a cold smile. "Can't or won't. This is exactly the defiance we're seeing too much of in this school." She stepped forward, her high heels clicking sharply on the polished wood floor. As she approached, Malik lowered his voice. "Ma'am, my back's really hurting." "Thompson, I don't want excuses," she cut him off, loud enough for the front rows to hear. "When we gather as a school community, everyone follows the same rules, no exceptions." Jada, Malik's best friend, glanced at him anxiously from the middle rows. She knew why Malik couldn't sit. So did their entire English class with Ms. Reynolds, but Ms. Hawthorne didn't care. Her gaze slid to a violin case propped against the wall beside Malik. "What's this?" she asked, her tone laced with suspicion. "I didn't know you were in the music program." "It's Jada's," Malik explained. "I'm just holding it for her until orchestra practice." A wicked smile spread across Ms. Hawthorne's face. "Is that so? If you think rules don't apply to you, maybe you'd like to showcase your musical talent. We have the spring concert this Friday." She picked up the violin case and thrust it toward Malik. "I'm adding you to the program. You'll perform a solo." Giggles rippled through the auditorium. Everyone knew Malik didn't play music. "But I don't play the violin," Malik started. "Then I suggest you learn fast," Ms. Hawthorne interrupted, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Or would you prefer detention through the end of the semester for your insubordination?" Reluctantly, Malik took the case, his face burning with humiliation as whispers and laughter spread. "I expect a full 3-minute performance," Ms. Hawthorne declared loudly. "Let this be a lesson to everyone about respecting authority." As she walked away, smug with her public display of power, Malik stood frozen, clutching the violin case, staring at the floor. "That's ridiculous," someone whispered. "Malik doesn't even read music, let alone play." The assembly ended, and students filed out, many casting pitying or amused glances at Malik. Jada rushed to his side. "She can't do that to you," she said, her eyes flashing with anger. "She already did," Malik replied, his voice hollow. "Just like Ms. Reynolds yesterday. No one stops them." The back pain was nothing compared to the weight of humiliation crushing him. It had started yesterday in Ms. Reynolds's English class. Malik arrived a minute late because his previous teacher ran over. His usual seat was taken, and Ms. Reynolds, without looking up from her desk, said, "Sit in the back." The only empty chair was broken, a metal bar jutting from the backrest. Malik tried to explain. "Ms. Reynolds, this chair's broken. Sit down, Thompson," she snapped. "You've disrupted my class enough." Malik sat carefully, avoiding the metal. 20 minutes later, shifting his weight, The bar jabbed into his back, making him groan. "What's the problem, Thompson?" Ms. Reynolds asked, her tone sharp. "The chair's broken. There's a piece of metal." "Always an excuse with you," she interrupted, striding down the aisle. "Stand up." As Malik stood, Ms. Reynolds grabbed the chair's back and shoved it into him, forcing him to sit. The metal pierced his shirt, slicing into his lower back. Malik yelped in pain, springing up instinctively. "How dare you disrupt my class again? To the principal's office now!" But Miss Hawthorne was in a meeting, and Malik waited, blood seeping, until the bell rang. He went straight home, too ashamed to report it. His mother, Aisha Thompson, a nurse working double shifts, cleaned the wound when he told her that night. She wanted to call the school immediately. "No, Mom, please don't," Malik begged. "It'll just make things worse." "This isn't right, Malik," she said. "They can't treat you like this." "They already did," Malik replied quietly. "And if we complain, they'll find another way to punish me." Reluctantly, his mother agreed to wait, applying antiseptic to the wound. "Your father wouldn't have stood for this," she whispered. Malik had only faint memories of his dad, who died when he was 7, a kind man with gentle hands and a warm laugh who sang him to sleep. That night, unable to lie on his back, Malik found an old photo album. In it was a picture of his father holding a violin. Though Malik had never seen him play, his mother explained when she saw him staring, "Your dad had a natural gift, but no chance to pursue it. He worked too many jobs to support us." Malik traced his finger over his father's smiling face. "I didn't know he played music." "There's a lot you don't know about him," his mom said softly. "He'd have taught you if he had the chance." Now, standing in the school hallway, clutching Jada's violin, Malik thought of that photo, of lost opportunities and buried talents. "What are you going to do?" Jada asked, snapping him back to reality. His phone buzzed with a text from his mom. "How's your back today? Do I need to call the school?" He pocketed it without replying. She was already overworked and worried. He didn't want to burden her more. "I don't know," he finally told Jada. "I've never held this thing before today." Jada grabbed his arm. "I can help. I've played violin since I was 6. "In 10 days? No way," Malik shook his head. "She set me up to fail. That's the point." That evening, Malik sat at the kitchen table, the unopened violin case in front of him. His mom moved around the kitchen preparing dinner, her eyes flicking to him with concern. "You haven't told me what happened at school today," she said, setting down a plate. Malik stared at the black case. "Principal Hawthorne humiliated me in front of the whole school for not sitting at the assembly. Then she made me do a violin solo at the concert." The words spilled out with the story of the public challenge. Aisha listened, her face darkening. When he finished, she placed her hands firmly on the table and looked him in the eye. "Son, there are 2 ways to deal with people like Ms. Hawthorne and Ms. Reynolds. You can let them break you, or you can rise so high they have to crane their necks to see you." She nodded at the case. "Which one are you choosing?" "Mom, I can't learn to play in 10 days. It's impossible," Malik said. "Nothing's impossible for a Thompson," she replied. "Your granddad couldn't read until he was 30, but he taught himself and became a preacher. Your dad worked 3 jobs and still found time to teach himself music. But Dad didn't do anything with it," Malik countered. "That's my point." Her voice was low but fierce. "Your dad didn't get his chance. But you've got one right now, even if it came from cruelty." Malik's phone buzzed. It was Jada. "Opened the violin case yet? I can come over tonight to start." "Jada offered to teach me," Malik said, His mom smiled. That girl's a blessing. Call her over. An hour later, Jada sat across from Malik, showing him how to hold the violin. It's all about posture and positioning, she explained. Your back's gonna make this tougher. Malik winced as he tried to rest the violin on his shoulder. This is hopeless. Not hopeless. Challenging, Jada corrected. And you're not doing it alone. She guided his fingers to the strings. Just feel it first. Don't worry about playing anything yet. The violin felt heavy and foreign in Malik's hands, but as he ran his fingers along the smooth wood, a strange sensation stirred. Maybe curiosity, maybe defiance. Ms. Hawthorne wants you to fail, Jada said bluntly. She thinks you'll either not show up or go on stage and embarrass yourself. That's probably true, Malik muttered. Not if we work at it, Jada insisted. You don't need to be perfect, just good enough to shock her. Malik's mom stood at the doorway watching. Your dad's first violin wasn't even a real one. It was a cigar box with homemade strings, but he practiced until his hands bled. Malik looked up, surprised. For real? She nodded. Music was in his soul. Maybe it's in yours too. Malik thought of his dad's photo, Ms. Hawthorne's smug smile, Ms. Reynolds's broken chair. All the times he'd been underestimated, dismissed. They don't expect anything from me, he said slowly. So anything I do will be a surprise. Exactly, Jada grinned. And I've got a plan. We start with a simple piece that sounds impressive. Even if you only play one, it's enough to prove them wrong. Malik carefully tucked the violin under his chin, ignoring the ache in his back. Show me how to hold it again. As Jada guided him, Malik made a decision. He wouldn't let Ms. Hawthorne revel in breaking him. He wouldn't let Ms. Reynolds's cruelty define what he could do. I need to practice every day, he said. Before school, during lunch, after school. Jada nodded. I'll help whenever I can. Aisha watched, pride and worry mixing in her eyes. This isn't just about proving them wrong, Malik. It's about finding something in you they didn't bother to see. Malik drew the bow across the strings for the first time, producing a screech that made all three wince. But beneath the clumsiness, there was something. A note, imperfect but real. Again, Jada encouraged. Lighter on the bow this time? Malik tried again. It sounded better. 10 days, he said, determination seeping into his bones despite the pain. 10 days to learn what takes people years. His mom gently squeezed his shoulder, avoiding the wound. If anyone can do it, it's you. The kitchen filled with screeching sounds as Malik practiced basic bow movements. Each attempt was flawed, but also a small act of rebellion against the prejudice, cruelty, and limits others placed on him. 10 days to turn humiliation into proof. 10 days to show Ms. Hawthorne and the school who Malik Thompson really was. For the next 3 days, Malik practiced whenever he could. Before school, he woke at 5 a.m., careful not to disturb his mom, who often worked late shifts. Calluses formed on his fingertips as he worked through the basic scales Jada taught him. During lunch, instead of hitting the cafeteria, Malik slipped into an empty science lab at the end of the building. Mr. Patel, the kind chemistry teacher, let him use it after Malik shared his predicament. Don't break any beakers with those high notes, Mr. Patel teased, but his eyes held sympathy. On Tuesday afternoon after school, Malik found the gym's back courtyard, where he usually practiced, taken over by the track team. With nowhere else to go, he reluctantly headed to the music wing, hoping for an empty practice room. The hallway was quiet, most students gone. Malik peered through each room's window until he found one empty. He slipped in, set up the violin, and started the simple piece Jada had taught him. He was so focused, he didn't hear the door open. "What are you doing here?" Malik spun around, nearly dropping the violin. Mr. Carter, the music teacher, stood in the doorway, his expression a mix of surprise and annoyance. "I'm sorry, sir," Malik said quickly. "I thought it was empty. I needed a place to practice." Mr. Carter's eyebrow arched. "Practice? Since when are you in the music program?" Malik hesitated, then decided to be honest. "I'm not. Principal Hawthorne made me perform at the spring concert as a punishment. I've got a week to learn." Mr. Carter's skepticism shifted to curiosity. "Punishment? Learning music shouldn't be a penalty." He paused, studying Malik. "What are you trying to play?" "Just a simple piece Jada taught me," Malik said, then played. His fingers were still clumsy, the bow movements jerky. The sound was barely music. Mr. Carter winced. "Your bow hold is all wrong, and that posture will cause problems." Then he noticed Malik standing slightly crooked. "Are you injured?" Malik briefly explained his back, omitting Ms. Reynolds's role. "That makes this harder," Mr. Carter said, "but not impossible." He held out his hand. "Let me see it?" Malik handed over the violin, and Mr. Carter quickly tuned it, playing a simple scale that sounded impossibly beautiful compared to Malik's attempts. "Music takes years to master," he said, handing it back. "But basics can be learned quickly with the right guidance." He paused as if making a decision. "Show me what you've got." For the next 20 minutes, Mr. Carter watched Malik demonstrate his limited skills, occasionally correcting posture and technique. Despite Malik's clumsiness, Mr. Carter's expression grew thoughtful. "You've got a good ear," he said finally. "You sense how notes connect instinctively, which can't be taught." "Is that good?" Malik asked. "Essential," Mr. Carter replied. "Technique can be learned, but musical instinct is innate." He glanced at his watch. "I've got to go, but you can use this room until 5. Practice the bow hold I showed you." As Mr. Carter left, Malik called after him. "Sir, do you think I can learn enough in a week to not embarrass myself?" Mr. Carter paused at the door. "With that attitude, probably not." Then he softened. "But with the right mindset and good guidance, who knows?" After he left, Malik practiced until his back ached and his fingers went numb. As he packed up the violin, he wasn't sure he'd improved, but something had shifted. What started as a desperate bid to avoid humiliation was becoming a genuine desire to learn. The next afternoon, Malik was surprised to find Mr. Carter waiting in the practice room. "Your bow hold's still off," he said by way of greeting, "and your posture's overcompensating for the injury. You'll never get a clean sound like that." Malik blinked in shock. "You're helping me?" "Principal Hawthorne announced your special performance to the faculty," Mr. Carter said, his tone clearly disapproving of the situation. She seemed very smug about it. Malik's face burned with anger and embarrassment. "I don't like music being used to humiliate," Mr. Carter continued. "It goes against everything I believe as a musician and teacher." He gestured to the violin. "Show me what you practiced since yesterday." For the next hour, Mr. Carter worked with Malik, refining technique and teaching him how to adjust his posture to ease the back pain. He was strict but patient, pushing Malik to retry each mistake without the harshness of Ms. Hawthorne or Ms. Reynolds. "Before I taught here, I studied with Rostropovich at Juilliard," Mr. Carter revealed as they wrapped up. "I had opportunities most people dream of." "Why teach at Crestwood instead of performing?" Malik asked. Mr. Carter's face flickered with sadness. "Stage fright crushed my confidence. But teaching, That's where I found my real passion. He adjusted Malik's elbow. Sometimes our paths take unexpected turns. Over the next few days, after-school sessions continued. Mr. Carter chose a relatively simple but audience-friendly piece, Bach's Minuet in G, and broke it into sections for Malik to learn. This has a recognizable melody the audience will connect with, he explained. Even if your technique isn't perfect, the emotion will carry through. Malik soaked up everything like a sponge, practicing until his back spasmed and Mr. Carter forced him to rest. Despite the pain and frustration, something was happening. The notes, once strained, began to flow more naturally, and his fingers found their places with growing accuracy. "You've got natural talent," Mr. Carter remarked on the 5th day. "With proper training, you could be an exceptional musician." Malik shook his head. "This is just to get through the concert." "Is it?" Mr. Carter challenged. "Because I see something more when you play. Something you haven't realized yet." Before Malik could respond, the door swung open. Ms. Hawthorne stood there, her expression shifting from surprise to cold anger. "Mr. Carter, I wasn't aware you offered private tutoring." "Just helping a student prepare for the performance you assigned," Mr. Carter replied calmly. Ms. Hawthorne's eyes narrowed. "How dedicated. I hope you're not giving Thompson false hopes about his abilities." "On the contrary," Mr. Carter said, his voice low but firm. "I'm just ensuring he has a fair chance to succeed." Ms. Hawthorne's smile didn't reach her eyes. "Don't let me interrupt. The concert's in 5 days, Thompson. I'm looking forward to your performance." She turned to leave, then added over her shoulder, "Oh, and the school board will be attending." No pressure. After she left, Malik set the violin down, his hands shaking. "She wants me to crash and burn in front of everyone important." "Or," Mr. Carter said quietly, "she's ensured there'll be witnesses to something unexpected." He placed a hand on Malik's shoulder. "Don't play for her, Malik. Play for yourself." Word of Malik's upcoming performance spread through Crestwood like wildfire. In the hallways, students whispered as he passed, some encouraging, others mocking. Ms. Reynolds began calling on Malik constantly in class, as if trying to catch him unprepared due to his practice schedule. "I hope your music studies aren't interfering with your academic responsibilities, Thompson," she'd say with a thin smile each time he answered correctly. Disappointed at failing to embarrass him, Malik stayed quiet and focused on the violin. With Mr. Carter's guidance, he progressed rapidly. Mr. Carter was amazed when Malik replicated a complex phrase after hearing it once. "That's extraordinary," he said. "Most students need dozens of tries to play that accurately." "I'm not great at reading music yet," Malik admitted. "But when I hear it, I feel where the notes should go." Mr. Carter nodded. "You play by ear, a rare skill many trained musicians lack." That ability became the cornerstone of their strategy. Instead of teaching Malik to read music fluently in the short time, Mr. Carter focused on honing his ear and muscle memory. He played sections of the Bach piece, and Malik echoed them, gradually building longer segments. "The audience won't know if you're reading or playing from memory," Mr. Carter explained. "They'll only care how it sounds." By the weekend, Malik could play the first half of Minuet in G with decent proficiency. It wasn't perfect. His technique still betrayed his inexperience, but the musicality was there. Something raw and authentic that moved Mr. Carter. "Something special is happening," he said after a strong practice. "You're connecting to the music on an emotional level that takes many musicians years to reach." Malik shrugged, shy with the praise. "I'm just trying not to make a fool of myself." "No," Mr. Carter insisted. It's more than that now. You're not just playing notes. You're expressing something. The weekend before the concert, Jada came to hear Malik practice. Her eyes widened as he played the full piece. Malik, that's amazing. How'd you learn so fast? Mr. Carter's helping, Malik explained, a bit embarrassed. He says I've got a good ear. Good ear? This is a miracle, Jada exclaimed. You learned in days what took me months when I started. Malik's mom, standing at the kitchen door, wiped away tears. You play just like your dad, she said softly. That night, as Malik carefully packed the violin, he felt something unexpected. Pride. What began as a bid to avoid humiliation had become something meaningful, connecting him to a part of himself he never knew existed. On Monday, 3 days before the concert, Ms. Hawthorne made an announcement over the intercom. A reminder that the spring concert will feature a special solo by Malik Thompson. I encourage all teachers and students to attend. At lunch, while practicing, Malik noticed someone watching. A group of orchestra students stood at the door. You really learned to play in 2 weeks? One asked. Malik nodded, awkward. Play something for us, another requested. Hesitant, Malik played the opening of the Bach. When he finished, they exchanged looks. That's actually good, a cellist said. You sure you never played before? Positive, Malik replied. You've got serious talent, she said. I heard Ms. Hawthorne made you do this as punishment, but it doesn't sound like punishment. As they left, Malik thought about her words. The violin, once alien, now felt like an extension of him. The music, once just notes to memorize, flowed through him, carrying emotions he couldn't put into words. That afternoon, Mr. Carter sat at the piano, his expression thoughtful. The Bach is coming along well, but I'm wondering if we should try something else for the concert. Something else? It's 3 days away, Malik protested. Mr. Carter played a complex melody on the piano. Can you play it back? Malik lifted the violin, hesitated, then replicated the melody with surprising accuracy. Mr. Carter nodded. As I suspected, your talent isn't just memorizing notes. It's a deep musical intuition. He handed Malik a sheet of music. This is Méditation from Thais by Massenet. It's typically advanced, but I think you can handle it. But I can barely play the Bach cleanly, Malik argued. The Bach is technically simple but requires precision from years of practice, Mr. Carter explained. Meditation relies on emotional expression and natural phrasing, your strengths. Malik eyed the sheet music skeptically. I can't learn to read it in 3 days. You don't have to, Mr. Carter said, turning to the piano. Listen. As the haunting, beautiful melody filled the room, Malik closed his eyes. He felt the music touch something deep within him, something waiting to be awakened. 2 days before the concert, disaster struck. Malik arrived at school to find a notice on the music room door. All practice rooms reserved for orchestra concert prep. When he knocked on Mr. Carter's office, the teacher opened it with a grim look. Ms. Hawthorne scheduled mandatory orchestra rehearsals every afternoon until the concert, he explained. She says it's for final prep, but the orchestra director says it was a last-minute call from administration. She's trying to stop us from practicing, Malik realized. Mr. Carter nodded. Seems she's worried about your progress. Now what? We adapt, Mr. Carter said firmly. Meet me at the park across from school at 4:30. We'll continue there. That afternoon in English, Ms. Reynolds announced a pop quiz on a lengthy reading assigned just yesterday. I hope you all read, she said, her eyes locking on Malik. This is 20% of your quarter grade. Malik stayed up past midnight studying, knowing Ms. Reynolds would pounce on any chance to undermine him. He aced the quiz, but as he turned it in, Ms. Reynolds frowned. Thompson, I've noticed you're focusing heavily on music lately. I'm assigning you a separate 10-page research paper on symbolism in Hawthorne's work, due tomorrow morning, to ensure you're not neglecting academics. Malik stared in disbelief. But the concert's the day after tomorrow. I need to practice. Extracurriculars aren't my concern, she snapped, unless you want to fail this class. Malik left the room, teeth gritted in frustration. In the hallway, he ran into Jada. Malik, what's wrong? She asked, seeing his face. Ms. Reynolds assigned a 10-page paper due tomorrow, and Ms. Hawthorne blocked all the practice rooms, he explained. They want me to fail. Jada's eyes flashed. They can't do that. They already did, Malik said, echoing his words after Ms. Reynolds' assault. Then we do it together, Jada declared. I'll help with the paper tonight, and you can practice at my place. After school, Malik met Mr. Carter at the park as planned. His back throbbed from a day of sitting in class, and the pressure of Ms. Reynolds' assignment weighed heavily. Your posture's awful, Mr. Carter noted as Malik struggled with the violin. The injury's hurting, isn't it? Malik nodded reluctantly. It's worse when I'm stressed. Mr. Carter's expression softened. Malik, why didn't you report what Ms. Reynolds did? That was physical abuse. Who'd believe me? Malik asked bitterly. Ms. Hawthorne would say I'm making excuses. I believe you, Mr. Carter said quietly. And others would too. Malik shook his head. It doesn't matter now. I just need to get through the concert. They practiced for an hour, but the pain and distraction affected Malik. The beautiful melody of meditation broke into disjointed notes as he lost focus. This isn't working, Malik finally said, frustrated, lowering the violin. Maybe I should stick with the Bach. At least I know it better. It's not the music, Mr. Carter said. You're playing from fear and anger. Those emotions have a place in music, but not when they're aimed at yourself. He sat on a park bench, motioning Malik to join him. Why are you doing this, Malik? Because Ms. Hawthorne forced me, Malik answered automatically. No. Mr. Carter shook his head. Why are you trying so hard? You could have refused, taken the detention, or deliberately played badly. Malik was silent for a long moment. Because I want to prove they're wrong about me, he finally admitted. Ms. Hawthorne, Mississippi Reynolds, everyone who thinks I'm nothing. Is that all? Mr. Carter asked gently. Malik looked at the violin in his hands. No, he said quietly. I want to play well because when I do, I feel connected to something bigger, something beautiful. Mr. Carter nodded. That's the truth I was waiting to hear. That's what needs to come through your music. He stood. Now play from that place. Not from anger or fear, but from that connection. Malik lifted the violin, closed his eyes, and began. This time, the music flowed differently, still imperfect, but alive with emotion and authenticity. When he finished, he opened his eyes to see Mr. Carter watching with pride and amazement. That, he said softly, is why they're afraid of you, Malik. Not because you might embarrass yourself, but because you might reveal your true potential. That night, with Jada's help, Malik finished the research paper, squeezing in practice between. His mom applied a heating pad to his back and cooked his favorite meal. You've got this, son, she encouraged. No matter how the concert goes, I'm already so proud of you. As Malik collapsed into bed, exhausted, he thought of Mr. Carter's words. For the first time, he allowed himself to think this forced performance might not be an end, but a beginning. Wednesday evening, as Malik prepared for his final practice with Mr. Carter, his phone rang. It was Mr. Carter calling from an unfamiliar number. "Malik, I had to leave school early today," he explained, his voice excited. "Can you meet me at Riverside Music Store instead of the park? I've got something to show you." 45 minutes later, Malik pushed open the door of the small music shop on the outskirts of town. The store was crammed with instruments, sheet music lining the walls, the air scented with polished wood and rosin. Mr. Carter waited at the back, chatting with an older man who owned the shop. "Malik, this is Mr. Rossi," Mr. Carter introduced. "He's been in the music business for over 50 years. Mr. Rossi studied Malik with sharp eyes. "So this is the kid you told me about, Carter?" "Natural talent." Malik shifted awkwardly. "I'm still learning, sir." "Everyone's learning, son," Mr. Rossi smiled. "Even after 50 years." Mr. Carter led Malik to a small office in the back. "I did some digging," he explained, turning on a computer monitor. "Your natural musicality reminded me of a student I once knew with similar ability." On the screen was a video from a college recital, time-stamped nearly 20 years ago. "I called some old colleagues," Mr. Carter continued. "They helped me track down this footage from the archives." He hit play, and a young black man stepped onto the stage, violin in hand. Even before he played, Malik felt a jolt of recognition. That's my dad," he whispered. Mr. Carter nodded. "Jamal Thompson. He studied music at Eastman for a semester before he had to leave for financial reasons." He saw Malik's shock. "You didn't know?" Malik shook his head, eyes glued to the screen. "I knew he played a little, but not like this." In the video, his father began, playing a complex classical piece with masterful technique and deep expression. The young man closed his eyes as he played, swaying slightly with the music, his face reflecting the same connection Mr. Carter saw in Malik. "Your dad was incredibly gifted," Mr. Carter explained. "He earned a scholarship after this performance but chose to leave school. Your mom was pregnant with you, and he felt a responsibility to provide." Tears rolled down Malik's cheeks as he watched his father play with a skill and passion he never knew existed. The similarities in their playing style were unmistakable. The same natural phrasing, the same emotional connection to the music. "I didn't know," Malik whispered. "Mom never said he was this good." "Maybe it was too painful," Mr. Carter suggested gently. "Deferred dreams often are." When the video ended, Malik sat quietly, processing the newfound connection to his father. "Why'd you find this?" he asked. "Because your musicality is too natural to be random," Mr. Carter replied. "When I saw how fast you learned, how you understood phrasing and tone, I suspected there was a musical legacy we could tap into." Mr. Rossi, who'd been listening silently, spoke up. "Carter says you're playing Massenet's Meditation tomorrow. Your dad played that piece beautifully." "He did?" Malik asked. "Yep. Now I see why Carter brought you here." The old man disappeared into the back, returning with an old but well-preserved violin case. "This was your dad's. He sold it to me when times were tough, but made me promise not to sell it to anyone else. Said he'd buy it back when things got better." He set the case on the table and opened it. Inside was a violin with a deep amber finish, aged but meticulously cared for. I don't have the money," Malik stammered. "It's already yours," Mr. Rossi said simply. "Your dad paid for it, just in installments I never cashed. The last payment was a week before he passed." I've been waiting for the right moment to return it to your family." Malik carefully lifted the violin from the case. It felt different from Jada's. Heavier, more solid. "Can I play it?" he asked. With Mr. Rossi's nod, Malik tucked it under his chin and drew the bow across the strings. The sound was rich, resonant, with a depth Jada's student violin lacked. "It's a German instrument from the late 19th century, Mr. Rossi explained. "Not fancy by professional standards, but solidly crafted with a great tone. Your dad made it sing like few I've ever heard." Malik played a few bars of meditation, and both men watched silently. Mr. Carter with satisfaction, Mr. Rossi with growing astonishment. "It's uncanny," the shop owner said when Malik finished. "The similarity in your playing. It's like your dad's musical spirit lives in you." That night, Malik brought his father's violin home and told his mom about the discovery. She sat on the couch, clutching a tissue as Malik showed her the video Mr. Carter had found. "I didn't tell you everything about your dad's music," she admitted. "It hurt too much. He gave it all up for us, and I always felt guilty he didn't pursue his dream." "Why didn't he play at home?" Malik asked. She wiped her eyes. "He did when you were little, but later I think it got too painful. A reminder of what could have been." She touched the violin reverently. "I didn't know Mr. Rossi kept this." "He said Dad was still paying for it," Malik said. She nodded. "That was your dad. He never gave up on what he truly cared about." She squeezed Malik's hand, like his son. Malik practiced late, the back pain fading as he connected with the instrument and his father's legacy. Something had shifted. What began as a response to humiliation was now a bridge to the past, and maybe the future. As he set the violin down to sleep, Malik felt a certainty he'd never known. Tomorrow's performance wasn't about Ms. Hawthorne or proving anyone wrong. It was about honoring his dad and embracing a gift he didn't know was his birthright. The morning of the concert, Malik arrived at school early and found Mr. Carter waiting outside the music room. "I've got news," he said, his face serious but excited. "An old colleague of mine is coming to the concert tonight." "Okay," Malik replied, not grasping the significance. Dr. Marcus Freeman, director of music at Eastman School of Music, one of the most respected violinists in the country, Mr. Carter clarified. "He's also on the State Board of Education." Malik's eyes widened. "Why is he coming to a school concert?" "Because I called him," Mr. Carter said simply. "I sent him a video of your practice yesterday. He was impressed, especially when he learned how long you've been playing." "You recorded me yesterday?" Malik asked, stunned. "With your mom's permission. Hope you don't mind," Mr. Carter added. Dr. Freeman is always scouting exceptional talent, especially from underrepresented groups. Malik felt a mix of excitement and terror. "So instead of embarrassing myself in front of the school and Ms. Hawthorne, I'll do it in front of a famous musician." Mr. Carter laughed. "That's not why I invited him. Dr. Freeman has connections and influence that could open doors for you if you want to pursue music." The idea was so overwhelming that Malik didn't know how to respond. 2 weeks ago, music wasn't part of his plans or dreams. All day, Malik's nerves were taut as violin strings. The concert was set for 7 p.m., and rumors swirled that his performance would be anything but ordinary. Some students offered support. Others clearly came to see him flop. In 6th period, Ms. Hawthorne made another announcement over the intercom. A reminder that tonight's concert will feature performances by the band and orchestra, plus a special solo by Malik Thompson. The school board will be in attendance, so please display your best behavior. Her tone carried a warning Malik didn't miss. After school, he headed to the auditorium for a final stage rehearsal. To his surprise, a tall, distinguished man stood with Mr. Carter near the piano. "Malik, this is Dr. Marcus Freeman," Mr. Carter introduced. Dr. Freeman shook his hand with a warm smile. "Pleasure to meet you, young man. David's told me about your remarkable progress." "Thank you, sir," Malik said, nervous. "But I've only been playing 2 weeks. I'm not really—" "2 weeks?" Dr. Freeman interrupted, looking at Mr. Carter in disbelief. "I thought you were exaggerating." "Not at all," Mr. Carter confirmed. "Malik has an extraordinary natural musicality, and as it turns out, it's hereditary." They briefly explained about Malik's father and the returned violin. Dr. Freeman nodded thoughtfully. "Music has a way of finding its rightful heirs. Sometimes it skips a generation. Sometimes it lies dormant. But true talent always surfaces." He gestured to the stage. "Would you play something for me before the audience arrives?" Malik took a deep breath, positioned his father's violin, and began meditation. Despite his nerves, the music flowed more naturally than ever. The rich tone of the old violin filled the auditorium with haunting beauty. When he finished, Dr. Freeman was silent for a moment. "Remarkable," he finally said. "There are technical flaws, of course, expected with so little practice, but the musicality, the emotional connection." He turned to Mr. Carter. "You were right to call me." They were interrupted by the auditorium doors opening. Ms. Hawthorne strode in, followed by Ms. Reynolds. Both froze when they saw the trio on stage. "Mr. Carter, the auditorium is supposed to be closed until 6 for setup," Ms. Hawthorne said sharply. Then she noticed Dr. Freeman. "I'm sorry, we haven't been introduced." "Dr. Marcus Freeman," he replied, stepping forward to shake her hand. "Eastman School of Music. I'm an old friend of David's, and he invited me to tonight's concert." Ms. Hawthorne's face shifted to practiced charm. "Dr. Freeman, it's an honor to have you at Crestwood. I wasn't aware you'd be attending." She shot Mr. Carter a look that promised repercussions. "Last-minute decision," Dr. Freeman said smoothly. "David told me about a promising young violinist at your school, and I wanted to hear for myself." Ms. Hawthorne's smile faltered slightly. "I see. But Thompson's only just begun studying music. I wouldn't want you to judge prematurely based on a disciplinary exercise." "Disciplinary?" Dr. Freeman raised an eyebrow. "A misunderstanding," Mr. Carter interjected quickly. Malik needed an opportunity to showcase his talent, and Ms. Hawthorne graciously provided one. Ms. Reynolds snorted derisively, not unnoticed by Dr. Freeman. "I look forward to the performance," he said, his tone pleasant but his eyes sharp, darting between Ms. Hawthorne and Malik. "In my experience, true talent often emerges from unexpected places." "Indeed," Ms. Hawthorne replied tightly. "Now, if you'll excuse us, we need to prepare the auditorium. Thompson, you should rest before your performance. Don't overexert yourself." Her tone was a clear dismissal. As Malik packed up the violin, he overheard Ms. Hawthorne whispering urgently to Ms. Reynolds. "Find out who Dr. Freeman is, and his connection to the State Board of Education. Make sure all documentation on Thompson's disciplinary issues is ready, just in case." Malik left the auditorium with a mix of anxiety and a new feeling: hope. For the first time, he sensed the evening might not end in the humiliation Ms. Hawthorne had planned. By 6:30 p.m., Crestwood High's auditorium was packed. Malik peeked through the backstage curtain, seeing a larger crowd than any school concert before. Word of his punishment performance had spread, and it seemed everyone wanted to witness either a disaster or a miracle. He spotted his mom in the third row, dressed in her best despite coming off a hospital shift. Next to her was Jada, who gave a thumbs up when she caught his eye. In the front row, the school board chatted with Miss Hawthorne, who was pointing out features of the newly renovated auditorium. Dr. Freeman sat near the back, quietly observing. Malik noticed Ms. Hawthorne glance at him several times with unease. "How you feeling?" Mr. Carter asked, joining Malik backstage. "Terrified," Malik admitted. "There's so many people." "Focus on the music, not the audience," Mr. Carter advised. "Remember what we said. Play from your heart, not from fear." The orchestra performances went smoothly. Malik watched from backstage as his classmates played pieces they'd rehearsed for months. Finally, Ms. Hawthorne stepped to the microphone for the introduction Malik dreaded. "For our final performance tonight, we have a special solo," she announced, her smile not reaching her eyes. "As some of you know, Malik Thompson will be playing the violin for us. This performance is part of our school's alternative discipline approach, encouraging students to develop new skills rather than traditional detention." Murmurs rippled through the audience. Malik saw his mom stiffen. "While I don't expect the polish of our regular music students," Ms. Hawthorne continued, "I hope you'll all support this educational experiment." As she stepped away from the mic, Dr. Freeman stood. "May I add a word?" he called, his deep voice commanding enough to make Ms. Hawthorne pause. "Of course, Dr. Freeman," she replied, unable to refuse the distinguished guest. Dr. Freeman took the stage. "For those who don't know, I'm Dr. Marcus Freeman from the Eastman School of Music. I'm here tonight specifically to hear Malik Thompson perform. While Miss Hawthorne is correct that Malik is new to formal study, I think it's worth noting that musical talent often exists independently of traditional training. Sometimes the greatest gift an educator can give is recognizing the potential already within a student." The pointed remark didn't go unnoticed. Ms. Hawthorne's smile grew strained as she returned to her seat. "Malik Thompson," Dr. Freeman announced, "performing Meditation from Thais by Massenet." Heart-pounding, Malik stepped onto the stage with his father's violin, standing under the spotlight. The auditorium fell silent as he tucked the violin under his chin. For a moment, panic threatened to overwhelm him. His back ached, his hands trembled, and the sea of faces before him blurred. Then he caught his mom's eyes, glistening with tears and pride. Beside her, Jada nodded encouragement. In the back, a few students from Ms. Reynolds's class, who'd witnessed his humiliation, watched with expectant looks. Malik closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and raised the violin. He thought of his dad, the legacy he didn't know he carried, the music that seemed to run in his blood despite years of silence. The first notes rang out in the auditorium, tentative at first, then gaining confidence as Malik lost himself in the music. The technical flaws Mr. Carter had warned about were there, but they were overshadowed by something stronger, a raw emotion and natural musicality that couldn't be taught. As Malik played, the audience sat captivated. Even Ms. Hawthorne's practiced composure cracked, shifting from expecting failure to surprise, then unease. Midway through the piece, the auditorium doors opened. A uniformed police officer entered with a woman in a business suit, scanning the room before spotting Ms. Hawthorne. They walked down the aisle, pausing to whisper to Dr. Freeman, who nodded gravely. Malik, lost in the music, didn't notice. He played the final notes with his eyes still closed, the violin singing with a voice that felt like it came from somewhere beyond. Maybe his dad, maybe a deep well of ancestral memory. As he lowered the bow, The silence lasted only a heartbeat before the auditorium erupted in applause. Malik opened his eyes to see the entire audience on their feet. Students, parents, teachers, even the school board. Dr. Freeman was the first to reach him as he left the stage, shaking his hand warmly. "Extraordinary," he said. "With proper training, you could—" He was cut off by Ms. Hawthorne, pushing through the crowd around Malik. "An unexpected performance," she said tightly. "Though, of course, with proper discipline and guidance—" "Ms. Hawthorne," the woman in the suit interrupted, stepping forward with the officer at her side. "I'm Detective Sarah Lynn from the County Special Victims Unit, and this is Officer Taylor from the School Resource Board. We need to speak with you immediately regarding allegations of physical abuse involving a student." Ms. Hawthorne's face paled. "I don't know what you're talking about. This isn't the time or place." "We have video," Detective Lynn said bluntly, "from a security camera in Ms. Reynolds' classroom, showing her assaulting Malik Thompson last week." The crowd gasped collectively. Malik stood frozen, violin still in hand. "That's impossible," Ms. Hawthorne stammered. "That camera there was no—" "The camera was installed last month during the security upgrade," a school board member interjected. "Footage is automatically stored for 30 days. Ms. Reynolds pushed through the crowd, her face twisted with anger. "This is absurd. He was disruptive, and I only pushed him into a broken chair with enough force to cause a puncture wound." "A puncture wound serious enough to require a hospital medical report?" Detective Lynn added. Malik looked at his mom in confusion. She hadn't taken him to a hospital. "I reported it," Mr. Carter said quietly to Malik. "After you showed me the injury yesterday, I couldn't let it continue." Dr. Freeman stepped forward. "As a member of the State Board of Education, I requested an immediate investigation when David raised concerns. Student safety is the highest priority." Ms. Hawthorne's face hardened as she realized the trap she'd fallen into. "Malik Thompson has been a disciplinary problem since he enrolled. Ms. Reynolds was maintaining classroom order. And this concert was a constructive effort to correct behavior, not punish." "By publicly humiliating him?" Dr. Freeman asked. "By setting him up to fail? That's not education, Ms. Hawthorne. That's abuse of power." The school board president stepped forward, his expression grave. "Ms. Hawthorne, Mississippi Reynolds, I think you both need to come with us for a private discussion. Given these allegations, you're both suspended, pending a full investigation." As Ms. Hawthorne and Ms. Reynolds were escorted out of the auditorium, Malik found himself surrounded by classmates congratulating him on the performance. His mom hugged him tightly, tears streaming down her face. "I'm so proud," she whispered. "Your dad would be too." Dr. Freeman waited until the crowd thinned before approaching Malik again. "That violin was your father's?" he asked. Malik nodded. "Yes, sir. I just got it back yesterday." Dr. Freeman smiled. "I thought I recognized it. Jamal Thompson was in my first class at Eastman before he had to leave. I always wondered what became of him." He placed a hand on Malik's shoulder. "His talent lives in you, perhaps even stronger. If you're interested, I'd like to discuss a scholarship for our summer program." As the reality sank in, Malik looked around the transformed auditorium. What was meant to be public humiliation had become validation, celebration, and perhaps the start of a path he'd never imagined. News of the spring concert spread through Crestwood like wildfire. By Monday morning, everyone knew about Ms. Hawthorne and Ms. Reynolds' suspensions, the police investigation, and Malik's unexpected musical talent. The school board appointed an interim principal, Dr. Eleanor Brooks, a retired educator known for her progressive leadership. Her first official act was to call an all-school assembly to address the situation directly. "What happened to Malik Thompson is a failure of our educational system," she told the silent auditorium. "When those entrusted with nurturing young minds abuse their power, we all suffer. This incident has exposed serious issues in our school culture that we must address." Malik sat in the back, still uneasy with the attention. Students who'd never spoken to him now smiled and waved. Teachers who'd once ignored him suddenly had time to ask about his interests and aspirations. "It's weird," he confided to Jada at lunch. "Last week I was invisible. Now everyone wants to be my friend." "People love to latch on to success," Jada said pragmatically. "But real friends are the ones who were there before the spotlight." She nudged his shoulder. "Speaking of, you really going to that Eastman summer program?" Malik nodded. "Dr. Freeman called Mom yesterday. They're offering a full scholarship, including housing. He says with intensive training, I could be ready to audition for their preparatory division by fall." "That's incredible," Jada said, her voice mixing joy and sadness. "But I'll miss you this summer." "It's only 6 weeks," Malik reassured her. "And Dr. Freeman said you should apply too. Your technique's actually way better than mine." Their conversation was interrupted by Mr. Carter, who approached their table with a smile. "Malik, got a minute? I want to introduce you to someone." In the music room, a young woman with a camera waited. "This is Lena Harper from the Tribune," Mr. Carter introduced. "She's writing a piece on arts education in underfunded schools and wants to interview you about your experience." "Me?" Malik asked, surprised. "But I just started playing." "That's exactly why your story's compelling," Lena explained. "It highlights how many talented students might never discover their potential without access and encouragement." The interview lasted nearly an hour, Malik fumbling to explain how he'd immersed himself in music and the unexpected connection to his father's legacy. "Would you be willing to play something for us?" Lena asked when they finished. "It'd be great to have a video for the online article." Reluctantly, Malik agreed. As he played a now polished section of meditation, Lena filmed on her phone. Mr. Carter watched with quiet pride. "That was beautiful," Lena said when he finished. "Last question. What would you say to other students who might have undiscovered talents?" Malik thought for a moment. "I'd say sometimes the thing meant for you finds you, even if others try to use it against you. And it's never too late to discover something new about yourself." 3 days later, the Tribune published Hidden Talent, Disciplinary Action Uncovers Musical Prodigy. The accompanying video went viral, reaching far beyond the local community. By the weekend, Malik received messages from music educators across the country, offering encouragement and support. Dr. Freeman called again, this time with bigger news. "Malik, Eastman's preparatory division wants you to perform at their spring showcase. It's rare for a non-enrolled student, but your story's getting a lot of attention. This is a chance to perform on a professional stage with perfect acoustics." "I don't know if I'm ready," Malik said honestly. "You're ready, Doctor," Freeman assured him. "And this time, you'll be playing for people who want to celebrate your talent, not exploit it." On the day of the performance, Malik stood backstage at Eastman's Kilbourne Hall, listening to the polished performances of students who'd trained for years. His mom and Mr. Carter were in the audience, having driven 3 hours. Jada was there too, skipping school for the day with her parents' permission. As the MC called his name, Malik stepped onto the stage with his father's violin. The hall was grander than the school auditorium, its acoustics amplifying every note and mistake. He stood under the lights, feeling the weight of expectation. But unlike the school concert, there was no fear now, no humiliation lurking. Instead, as Malik closed his eyes and began, there was only the music, a connection to his dad, to the legacy he was just beginning to explore, and to a future suddenly rich with possibility. The meditation he played had evolved since the school concert. Under Dr. Freeman's guidance, Malik had refined his technique while preserving the natural expression that made his playing special from the start. As the final note faded into silence, the applause erupted immediately, resounding. Malik opened his eyes to see the audience on their feet, not from shock or surprise, but from genuine appreciation for his talent. As he bowed, Malik saw his mom wiping tears, Mr. Carter clapping proudly, and Jada bouncing with excitement. But what stood out most was realizing his own eyes were wet. Not from pain or humiliation, but from the pure joy of finding his voice through music. 3 months after the concert that changed everything, Malik sat in the back of the county courtroom, watching Ms. Hawthorne and Ms. Reynolds face the consequences. The school board's investigation uncovered not just the incident with Malik, but a pattern of discriminatory behavior targeting minority students. This case represents a gross violation of the trust placed in educators, the prosecutor stated. These students come to school expecting guidance and support. Instead, they received humiliation and physical abuse. Ms. Hawthorne sat stone-faced at the defense table, while Ms. Reynolds seemed to fight back tears. Neither looked toward Malik. After the hearing, which resulted in probation and permanent revocation of their teaching licenses, Malik stepped outside to find reporters waiting. He declined to comment, still uneasy with his newfound prominence. "You don't owe them anything," his mom said as they walked to the car. "Your story is yours, to tell or keep private as you choose." Malik nodded, grateful for her protection. "I don't want to be known just as the kid who got abused or the one who learned violin in 2 weeks. I'm more than that." "You always were," she replied gently. "It just took the right circumstances for others to see." Changes at Crestwood came swiftly and significantly. Dr. Brooks, initially appointed interim, accepted the permanent principal role. Under her leadership, the school implemented comprehensive anti-discrimination policies and expanded the arts program with new community partnerships. Mr. Carter was named head of the music department, with an increased budget for instruments and scholarships. One of his first acts was to create a mentorship program, pairing experienced music students with newcomers from underrepresented groups. Malik's summer at Eastman transformed his playing. 6 weeks of intensive training built on his natural talent, giving him technique to match his intuitive musicality. Dr. Freeman took a special interest in his progress, often staying late to work on challenging passages. "Your dad had that same determination," Dr. Freeman said one evening. "He'd practice until his hands bled, then tape them up and keep going." "Why'd he give it up?" Malik asked. Dr. Freeman considered. "Some say circumstances forced him to choose between his dream and responsibility. But knowing Jamal, I think he found a different dream. You and your mom. He redirected his passion, not abandoned it." Now, as Malik prepared to start formal study at Eastman's preparatory division alongside high school, he understood what Dr. Freeman meant. The violin wasn't just an instrument to him. It was a connection to his dad, a voice for emotions he'd once kept hidden, and a path to a future he was only beginning to envision. The Tribune's final article on the saga was titled, "Justice Served," educators held accountable as student musician shines. It featured a photo of Malik performing at the Eastman Showcase, lost in the music, his face mirroring the expression of his father in that old college recital video. Sometimes, Malik told the reporter in his only comment, "What starts as someone trying to hurt you becomes the thing that sets you free." As he practiced late for his first official Eastman solo, Malik often thought about how things could have been different. If Ms. Hawthorne hadn't tried to humiliate him with the violin, if Mr. Carter hadn't seen his potential, if his dad hadn't left a musical legacy that found its way to him when he needed it most. The path that began with pain and humiliation had led to healing and discovery. The instrument forced on him as a cruel joke had become his voice, and those who tried to break his spirit had unwittingly revealed his strength. Malik Thompson tucked his father's violin under his chin, closed his eyes, and began to play. Not for Ms. Hawthorne, the Eastman audience, or his teachers. He played for himself, for his dad, and for all the music waiting within him, ready to emerge when the time was right. Malik Thompson's story is a powerful testament to the strength of resilience and the potential hidden within each of us. Despite facing injustice and cruelty from those meant to uplift him, Malik turned a challenge into an opportunity, discovering a musical talent that connected him to his father's legacy. His journey teaches us that even in the darkest moments, there's potential for light, a chance to discover, heal, and shine. The core lesson is the importance of recognizing and nurturing potential in everyone, regardless of background or circumstance. Too often, students, especially from minority communities, face barriers created by prejudice and abuse of power. By confronting these injustices, as Mr. Carter and Dr. Freeman did, we create space for talent to flourish, enabling individuals like Malik to find their voice and shape their future. Moreover, the story underscores the value of community and support. From his mom's unwavering encouragement, Jada's dedicated guidance, to Mr. Carter's belief in his ability, these relationships were the foundation of Malik's success. It reminds us that no one achieves greatness alone. We all need people who believe in us, even when we doubt ourselves. Finally, Malik's journey is a call to action. It challenges us to look beyond appearances, question authority, and fight for justice when we witness wrong. By doing so, we not only protect those who are harmed, but also create opportunities for the world to witness the beauty of hidden talents. As Malik proved, sometimes our greatest gifts emerge from our toughest trials, and when we embrace them, we can turn pain into passion, humiliation into triumph.